Good evening and welcome to the May 2nd meeting of the City of Vista Planning Commission. Would you all please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Savage.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Leahy, roll call, please.
Chair Rossler.
Here.
Vice Chair Grimm.
Here.
Commissioner DeJesus. Here. Commissioner Hastings. Commissioner Looney. Here. Commissioner Savage.
Here.
Student Commissioner Childs. Student Commissioner Herrera.
All right, very good, thank you. Commissioners, you've been provided with the minutes from our April 18th meeting. If there are no changes, can we hear a motion to approve? Commissioner DeJesus?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from May 2nd. I'm sorry, tonight's May 2nd, April 18th.
All right, very good. Commissioner Savage?
I will second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from our April 18th meeting. And by the way, I thought they were exceptional in the detailed discussion that we had on the on the apartment project. So good job. Cast your vote, please. And the motion passes unanimously of the commissioners here, 5-0. All right. Ms. Chow, any changes to our agenda tonight?
Good evening, Chairman Rossler. No changes tonight. Thank you.
Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, the next item on our agenda is oral communications. This is a time that the commission sets aside to hear from members of the public on items that are not on our agenda. I have no speaker slips. Anyone wishing to address the commission that's on an item that's not on our agenda? Seeing none, we will move on to our public hearings. In our public hearings tonight, we will hear from staff. They will give us a presentation. The applicant will be afforded a time to further expand on the application. We'll open it up to commissioner questions of both the staff and the applicant. Then I will open the public hearing. You will need to fill out a speaker slip that are out in the hallway and turn it into our recording secretary if you'd wish to address the commission on the item. I'll call everyone in the order that I receive them. You'll have 3 minutes to address the commission on your concerns. I'll close the public hearing. We'll open it up to discussion and a decision by the commission. So our first item, our first public hearing tonight is the Monty Morris Center modifications. Mr. Rossler, I believe the staff report's yours.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the Planning Commission. The project before you tonight is an amendment to a previously approved special use permit and a site development plan, and that's for modifications to the previously approved Monty Morris Center. Application number is P21-0340. The subject site is located on the northeast corner of East Vista Way and Monty Morris Road. The site is 4.47 acres, and it's currently being developed, again, with the previously approved Monty Morris Center. Here's an aerial photograph of the site. Surrounding land uses include post office to the north, mobile home park to the east, commercial shopping center to the south, and Sprouts supermarket and a church to the west across East Vista Way. The general plan land use designation for the site is neighborhood commercial, CN, which allows for commercial uses, banks, grocery stores, as well as restaurants. The coinciding zoning designation is commercial C1, again, allows for commercial and retail uses. On April 16, 2019, the Planning Commission approved P16-0276, which was a request for a special use permit site development plan, as well as a tentative parcel map, and to develop the Monty Morris Center on the subject site. The project include a gas station with a mini mart and a car wash, 2 drive-through restaurants, as well as an 8,000 square foot retail building at the rear of the site. The project before you tonight, again, is an amendment to the special use permit and the site development plan for modifications to that previously approved center. The request includes a reduction in square footage for the previously approved multi-tenant retail building to the rear of the site. That would be reduced down from 8,000 square feet to 6,000 square feet, and would also include a new drive-through facility. Also included would be modifications to the landscape plan, parking, and other site improvements. The proposed 6,000 square foot building would be located at the same location as previously approved. The proposed drive-through facility would be located along the north, south, and east elevation of the building. In regards to parking, the entire site, including the reduced retail building, would require a total of 137 parking spaces, and the submitted site plan includes a total of 154 spaces. In regards to drive-through queuing, the submitted site plan depicts 12 queuing spaces prior to the proposed service window, as well as 2 spaces after the service window on the proposed building. In regards to landscaping, the entire site dedicates 16% of the site to landscape improvements, which exceeds the code requirement of 15%. The landscape material used would be native and non-native material. The submitted floor plan depicts 2 quick-serve restaurants as well as 2 retail tenant spaces. Architecturally, the building would be 1-story, maximum height of 32 feet. The design of the building reflects a contemporary architectural style, exhibiting architectural enhancements, including roof tower elements, dimensional cornice treatment, foam banding, steel awnings, stucco reveals, as well as aluminum storefront systems. Again, the general plan land use designation for the site is CN Commercial, neighborhood commercial, which allows for retail, restaurant, and drive-through facilities. In regards to the C1 zone development standards, this project has been designed to comply with all applicable development standards and zoning standards, including building height, parking, as well as landscaping. With that, staff is recommending the Planning Commission adopt the attached resolution granting an amendment to the previously approved special use permit and site development plan to replace an 8,000 square foot retail building with a 6,000 square foot retail building to include a new drive-through facility within the previously approved retail center located at 1401 East Vista Way. That concludes staff's report. The applicant, Eno Cruz, should be here available to answer questions that the Planning Commission has them for.
Okay, so no presentation from the applicant?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, very good. Commissioners, questions of staff or the applicant? Commissioner Grimm?
I think it's probably more of a question for the applicant. I was just wondering if on this particular portion of the, not here? Okay, I can hold my question. Well, maybe you know the answer.
I might have an answer.
Have they leased this particular portion yet? And do they have a user yet for this?
I know the word is that he's leasing it to a coffee shop, but unfortunately, I don't know who the user is, and nor do I know there's a signed agreement for that lease. So I can't get any further details. I was hoping he'd be here tonight so he could answer that question because I know it'd get brought up.
Yeah, the question kind of comes out of, what use it is, because there's actually, if I remember, on this particular site, there's actually parking coming off the queuing area, which might be, more oriented for staff. I was wondering if they were, thinking about it for staff parking, because if somebody gets in there and it queues up, you might not be able to get out. I don't think it's a big problem, but I just wanted to ask about it.
Yeah, well, we're hoping maybe by the time we get done with the public hearing, he might come in and be able to answer some of those questions. But I know from a circulation and a parking standpoint, the traffic engineer has reviewed the plan, feels comfortable with the queuing in regards to this facility compared to the 2 other drive-through facilities on site. And from staff's point of view, there's parking to accommodate the building that's proposed. But other than that, I can't get any more details other than that. I apologize.
Commissioner Looney?
Thank you. Going over the plans, I just had one comment about the landscaping. They have called out for an ironwood or ironbark eucalyptus tree, and they're shown in a very narrow planter, and those can be somewhat invasive, and they're quite dirty. So staff may make a suggestion that they find a different plant species for that particular area. That was all.
Yeah, I'll pass that information on to the city's landscape architect.
Michael, is how are orders going to be placed? Will they have a microphone and speaker at the menu board?
Yes, and I'm not sure if I have a site plan that's larger in scale than what I have here, but as you can see going into the queuing lane, there's a lattice element that you drive through. The order menu and board would be at that location facing south. Then the customer would go north in the queuing lane, and the pay window is on the north elevation of that building.
Is this our applicant?
Yes.
Okay. Any concerns about the noise? The last the last drive-through we had next to a mobile home park, we did some additional things on regulating when their speaker system could work. Any concerns about that on this one?
Well, seeing that the ordering and the pickup on the north and south elevation not facing the mobile home park, we're not as concerned. However, an acoustic analysis was done for the project.
Okay.
And the model of the pay, I guess, unit is considered an M3 wireless communication system model XT1. Needless to say, it indicates that at the property line, it will be well below the ambient noise level of
Okay.
existing conditions.
Very good. The other concern I have, and maybe the applicant can address it, the other stores in this have their rear doors going out into the drive-through area. Have you thought about how deliveries are going to be made and if there would be a conflict with the rear doors of the other commercial units and the drive-through? Come join us up here and give us your name for the record, please.
Sorry about that. I'm Eno Cruz. I'm Senior Project Manager for the project for the owner. And yes, we did think about that. Most of the deliveries for this type of businesses that we're going to have them in the front,
Okay.
going into the front area.
All right. Okay, very good.
It was also brought up by another planning commissioner, if you have any leases signed for this building, or if you could get any of those details that was brought up.
As far as right now, the only one we have is Better Buzz, which is the coffee shop.
Okay.
Is the only one we have at this time.
Okay. Did you want to ask or give them your concern about the eucalyptus trees? Okay, all right. Okay. Hang on half a second, and Michael, I saw in the staff report that we did a tentative map before in the approval. And I just had a thought today about the Vaughn Center on South Santa Fe, and I understand there are problems in that center because of the parcel ownership. Is this pretty well tied together for maintenance of the drive and parking lot?
Yeah, the engineering division required CCNRs to be drafted and recorded that would secure future maintenance of the center and secure reciprocal access and parking agreements
Okay.
as well. So, yeah, we feel pretty secure in terms of the condition that this center will have in regards
Okay.
to ownership.
Very good, thank you. I have a question from one of our student commissioners, so if you'll stand aside and hang on here for a second. Peter?
Yeah, just something I noticed with the project, I'm used to always hearing with the landscaping, it's a mix of native and non-native material. And for this one, I heard it was, unless I'm mistaken, exclusively non-native material. Am I mistaken on that? Or is there like a particular reason?
No, I said it was native and non-native material.
Okay.
And yeah, it meets our water efficiency landscape ordinance and was previously reviewed and conditioned by our landscape architect.
Okay, cool. Sorry.
Thank you, Peter. Okay, any other questions for staff or the applicant? Thank you very much. This is a public hearing. I have no speaker slips, so I will open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to address the commission on this drive-through? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and open it up to commissioner discussion. Commissioner Grimm.
If there's no discussion, I'm prepared to make a motion.
Anyone else have just anything they'd like to discuss?
Yeah, I just want to mention that I like the change because when you have a drive-through, then the back of the building tends to get more maintained. So especially adding a coffee shop with this, I think it's a good move. So just wanted
Okay.
to share my support.
Go ahead.
I'll move staff recommendation.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Commissioner Looney seconds. Please cast your vote. And lock it in. And the motion passes unanimously. All right. We will then move ahead to our second public hearing. We'll switch out staff here. The second public hearing is Cannabis Manufacturing Zenergy Brands Corporation. Mr. Winters, your staff report, please.
Thank you, Chairman Rossler and Commissioners. This is the second public hearing item, request for a special use permit for cannabis manufacturer at 1257 Activity Drive. To summarize the project briefly, the proposed use for cannabis manufacturing of cannabis products will occupy an existing 5,532 square foot light industrial building located within the Vista Business Park. The building is part of a larger industrial project that was developed approximately 30 years ago, consisting of 8 buildings with shared access. The project will involve minor tenant improvements for the installation of new equipment within the internal floor space. The proposed hours of operation for the facility would be limited to 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. A new interior and exterior security camera system will be installed as part of the project. Covering the general plan and land use zoning designations, the general plan is research, light industrial. The corresponding zoning designation within the Vista Business Park specific plan is Research Light Industrial and Business Support Group, which is Area B of the specific plan. This is a street view of the project site showing the existing building on the right in the aerial image. It's adjacent to the other building to the northwest. There's shared access on either sides of the building connecting to Activity Drive. The site plan showing a diagrammatic look at the property, the associated parking on the west side of the building, which is shared with the other suites or buildings in the center. There is a rear access that has 4 roll-up doors on the north or northeast side of the building. And there's also a trash enclosure in back of the building. This shows the interior floor plan with the primary manufacturing area that would be used for the cannabis product production and packaging. Interior areas include the manufacturing area, secured storage rooms, packaging rooms, and offices, break rooms, restrooms for the staff. The red circles on the plan show the exterior cameras, which are designed and will be placed to capture all of the entrances, exits from the building on the 3 elevations other than the wall that connects to the adjacent building where there are no openings. Under project details, a cannabis manufacturer is a business that makes or packages cannabis products that may include edibles, topicals, tinctures, extracts, vapor cartridges, capsules, and similar projects. The proposed use for the manufacturer would operate under a Type 6 manufacturing license regulated by the California Department of Public Health in conjunction with the city's licensing and permitting requirements. Type 6 manufacturer's license is for manufacturers that utilize non-volatile solvents such as carbon dioxide, ethanol, water, butter, or oil, or perform extraction using mechanical methods. The The applicant would perform the following activities as part of the business operation. It would include packaging and labeling cannabis products. Those would include THC oils and concentrates, vapor cartridges and vials, solvents and lotions, and some infusion products. Raw materials such as cannabis flowers, extracts, cannabis, and CBD oils would be used to infuse edibles and solvents. Products would include cannabis flower products, concentrates, edibles, and pre-roll cannabis products. White labeling products that would be produced for various dispensaries and cannabis brands, such as vape pens, tinctures, massage oils, lotions, balms, and so on, would also be produced. Under the city's code requirements, a cannabis manufacturer requires a special use permit under Title V of the Municipal Code. The use requires a cannabis enterprise license from the city and the State Bureau of Cannabis Control following approval of the special use permit. The city also would require a business license for the operation at the end of that process. The municipal code, again, Title V, caps the number of cannabis enterprise licenses that may be issued for manufacturers at a maximum of 2. A prior special use permit was granted for Dogwood Enterprises on June 2nd, 2020. So if the Planning Commission grants the current request for a special use permit on Activity Drive, it would be the second use permit granted for this type of use. The cap would be met and no additional cannabis manufacturers would be allowed in the city. Under environmental review, the project is exempt as an existing facility. It applies because the project would only involve minor interior tenant improvements. It does not propose the use of volatile substances or highly hazardous materials. It would entail negligible or no expansion of the existing industrial type use of the property, and therefore the project would not result in any environmental impacts. Under public policy consideration, the cannabis manufacturing use would be compatible in scale and operational characteristics with surrounding industrial land uses, and the project is subject to approval of a special use permit. Conditions of approval are included to ensure compliance with the city's regulations and that property security measures are put in place. Therefore, the use would be consistent with the general plan and the land use designation of research light industrial. Staff's recommendation is to adopt a resolution approving the special use permit for this cannabis manufacturer at 1257 Activity Drive with Exhibits A and B. That concludes staff presentation. The owners of the business are here to answer any operational questions or detailed questions about the security measures that would be put in place.
Very good, thank you. Any questions of staff or the applicant? Commissioner Savage.
I think this starts with staff. The camera angles that I'm seeing here, they must be more broad angled, but I'm noticing that the current way this is laid out, the main entrance doesn't have any cameras, and I'm assuming that's because it's a locked system to get into any other part of the building. Is that correct? Is that why we haven't required that?
I believe that it's designed so that the camera just to the left of the main entrance on the slide would capture that area, but it is basically schematic at this point. Final building plans will be submitted, and I believe they are required to get the sheriff's approval of the camera locations and coverage.
Okay, and so with sheriff's approval, that'll cover all exterior doors will have some sort of coverage from each camera?
And as required under the conditions of approval.
Okay, sorry, just checking.
Commissioner Grimm?
This, if we approve this tonight, this is said in stated in the staff report, says this caps the number of production places. The other one was on Dogwood. Have we had any problems at the Dogwood site?
I've not heard of any problems at the Dogwood site. I haven't heard anything negative about it.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Looney?
Question for staff. Can a city policy of 2 businesses, cannabis businesses, be challenged later on?
I might need to get some help from the city's attorney's office.
You know, we've got city policy that maximizes the number of facilities to 2. So what if I want to come in and do number 3? Can I hire powerful attorneys to come in and challenge city policy?
As a general statement, limitations on uses in terms of capping are considered legal uses of the land use power. There are issues with respect to grandfathering that wouldn't apply here in the context of limiting the number of uses potentially, but I don't have any legal concerns with how the city proceeded with limiting the number of licenses.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Commissioner DeZiza.
I have a question about the trash. So I see that the different types of products that will be manufactured here include oils and THC, but it meets an environmental requirement according to the report. And there's a trash bin in the back of the building. Is there any sort of process to protect the public if there's any residual material on packaging?
I think it would be best if we could have the applicant come up and address that question, exactly how the operation and cleanup works.
Thank you.
Could you give us your names for our record?
Sure.
And
My name is Juxter Isip.
Hi, my name is Mi Kitgarani Rutama.
did you understand the commissioner's question? Yes. Okay.
Yes. So usually we clean up everything with alcohol, and once alcohol is applied in the THC or CBD oils, it would eliminate all the chemicals. But most of the products that we can use is we can help me out.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Hi, Commissioner DeSouza.
Jesus.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
So to help you, to help answer that question for all of you, with cannabis oil, whether it's THC or CBD, a lot of our intention at 1257 Activity Drive is to do light manufacturing. So that is pretty much packaging. So when we get an order that comes from our client, all of our client will be licensed to license. We have, just to give you a little bit of background, I currently own a staffing company that services licensed cannabis facilities throughout California. And one of the major sites that we currently supply and we currently do a lot of work for is out in Monterey County. They are called We Are Vertis, CalGrow, out in King City. So the idea is when we get products from a licensed facility and we get what it's called an order, we do what it's called just-in-time manufacturing. We only source what's needed for everything that we do. So for example, 1 liter of whether it's THC oil or CBD, that converts to about 10,000 pieces.
1,000.
1,000 pieces. So we know with that to add on to what Jex is saying is if we have any residue left over, we're not actually going to throw that in the trash. Everything that we do, basically we take some ethanol or some isopropyl, some high-grade isopropyl. All you do is you let it sit inside. It takes particles off, and you put it back into a machine where it can actually extract the ethanol out, and you can reuse the oil again. So we have no intentions of throwing flour in the garbage or trim, because to be quite honest with you, we have no plans on doing extraction. We do have some flour that we are planning on putting into jars, but we will not do that until we actually get an order. And that means we will have to go to Vertis, source the right flour, get an approval from our clientele who has a distribution license, put that in a package for them, and then go from there. So if you guys are worrying about safety of the community, I don't think anyone's going to go in there and find flour or any substance that could be dangerous or harmful for the environment or even for our community.
I appreciate your explanation. And wasn't really about the flour or anything. It was like when if you're creating the gummies or whatever, and you're adding if you're adding the oil or the CBD or THC or CBD to the product, and then you have these jars left over, and you just address that by you're going to be putting a certain amount of alcohol in it to clean it, and then when you throw it away, it has no residual material in it.
No, it cleans like a mason jar as if, and I've seen this done over at CalGrow, it cleans the mason jar as if, it's a brand new mason jar. We do this with our trimming scissors. We do this with, sanitation. We do this with all of our laboratory equipment. So we plan to use the same method here on site if we do source oil for vape pens and whatnot.
Well, I'm satisfied with your answer. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I appreciate it.
Thanks. I wasn't clear on, with all the cameras, where they were going to be monitored from. I know that there's a DVR service room, but is there one room where the manager or someone keeps track of all the cameras?
We plan on getting a security, 24/7 security personnel, and we'll train him or her on the operational.
And where will they be in the building?
There's a data room in the building.
Okay, so they'll be in the DVR room then. Okay, very good. Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
All right. This is a public hearing. I have no speaker slips again. Anyone wishing to address the commission on the application? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and open it up to commissioner discussion. All right, thank you, Charlie. Commissioner Grimm.
I'll move that we adopt the resolution granting a special use permit for cannabis product manufacturing at 1257 Activity Drive.
Is there a second? Commissioner Day Jesus seconds the motion. It's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution. Please cast your vote and lock it in.
Oh, shoot. Sorry. Okay.
And the motion passes unanimously. All right. Moving on. We got a tag team going here tonight. Our next public hearing is Broadleaf Tree Wireless Telecommunication Facility. And Mr. Ressler, your staff report, please.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the Planning Commission. The project before you tonight is a special use permit, again, for a broadleaf tree wireless communication facility. Application number is P23-0039. The subject site is 2.19 acres located on the south side of Olive Avenue, just west of Plymouth Drive. The site is one legal parcel, and it's currently developed with the contractor storage facility. Here's a few photographs of the site. Surrounding land uses include industrial to the north and to the west, to the east, multifamily residential, and to the south, single-family residential. The general plan land use designation for the site is IEG, Industrial General, with coinciding zoning of M1, which is light manufacturing. The project before you tonight is a wireless telecommunications facility, a request for a special use permit, since that facility would be within 500 feet of a residential use. The proposed facility would be for AT&T Wireless. The proposed telecommunications facility would include a 35-foot tall freestanding tower, and that would be disguised as a broadleaf tree. That facility would include 12 antennas, and in addition to the tower, the facility would include a 406 square foot equipment enclosure, which would house a ground-mounted equipment and a 13 square foot backup generator. The submitted site plan indicates a proposed facility would be located at the northwest corner of the site. Again, there'll be a 406 square foot equipment enclosure. That's a 9-foot tall CMU wall enclosure, which would house equipment cabinets, breaker panels, surge suppressor, and again, a 13 square foot backup generator. The proposed tower would be located just directly southeast of the equipment enclosure. The tower, inclusive of the concealing branches, would reach a total height of 35 feet. The 12 antennas would be installed on the upper portion of the tower within 3 sectors, and the center of the antennas would be at 29 feet, and the top of the antennas would be at 33 feet. The tower includes a faux tree trunk, faux branches with foliage. The electrical equipment mounted on the tower would be painted and blended to match the color of the faux tree. Here's a photo simulation of the tower looking southeast from Olive Avenue. The left side image is the existing image, and the right side would include the proposed tower. Here's another photo simulation looking southwest of Olive Avenue. And here's a photo simulation of the tower looking south from Olive Avenue. Here's a coverage map provided by the applicant. The map on the left side shows an area around the intersection of Olive and North Melrose Drive, which is experiencing poor cell service. The map on the right includes the proposed facility, which would improve the coverage to good in the specific area. Staff has reviewed the plans, visited the site, and feels that the proposed facility meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance and the city's wireless telecommunications ordinance. This facility meets the maximum height limitation in the zone of 35 feet. The industrial site is considered a preferred location within the city's wireless telecommunications ordinance. The proposed tree would integrate within the existing landscape on site. There would be a 250-foot separation from the proposed facility to the closest residential use to the southeast of the site. Within that separation, there would also include a 6-foot-high perimeter fence wall that's already on site. With that, staff is recommending the Planning Commission adopt a attached resolution granting a special use permit to construct and operate a wireless telecommunications facility consisting of 12 antennas and associated equipment mounted on a new 35-foot tall freestanding wireless tower disguised as a broadleaf tree located at 460 Olive Avenue. That concludes staff's report. Mr. Harold Thomas Jr., representative of MD7, is here, and he'll also provide you a brief presentation. Thank you.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be able to stand before you all. Again, my name is Harold Thomas Jr. I'm here on behalf of MD7 and AT&T. I thank Mr. Ressler for presenting my project. He covered a lot of what I prepared, so I'll just add just a little bit, but a lot will be what you have seen already. So we are seeking approval to build a facility at 460 Olive Avenue. Our facility is intended to bring coverage to the Olive Avenue area. As Mr. Ressler had stated, it is located in a light manufacturing zone with neighboring residences as well, and it will be a 35-foot high mono broadleaf faux tree screened by the neighboring foliage and trees. And again, there's just more in depth of the surrounding zone with it being in a light manufacturing zone, surrounded more with that in the east and the west, and multi-use as well. As previously stated, the faux tree was 35 feet high. It will be housing 12 antennas, 9 remote radio units, a 9-foot equipment enclosure, and 1 emergency backup generator. As previously shown, this is exactly where our site is going to be located on the property. And I think the only one thing I would like to add is just that our site utilizes this software called FirstNet. And what FirstNet is that it is a dedicated first responders network. What this does is that in the event of an emergency, all first responders are given primary clean access of communication so that they will be able to communicate with each other they'll be able to communicate with each other without any traffic from other frequencies of people making calls. So this just allows them to be able to devote the necessary resources and to make those very quick split decisions. Yes, again, a lot of this was covered by Mr. Ressler, and this was just our photo simulations. And as you would see in these before and afters, our intent was to be able to provide the area with a good facility, but also make it stealth to avoid any visual impairments that might come. And that is shown even further through the photo simulations here and there. And of course, with the coverage maps, the only thing I would add on is just that this was provided by our RF engineer who ran a study and showed that it had poor amounts of coverage, and just by the implementation of our site, those areas that are poor end up becoming great. Is there any questions?
You're done? Okay, thank you. Hang on, there may be questions. So, any questions of the applicant or the staff? Commissioner Looney.
Thank you. At what height on the tower does the foliage begin above the ground? Because we've got a 35-foot tower. So does the foliage begin at 10 feet? Does it begin at 25 feet? If you could give us an idea, because I didn't see it on any of the drawings.
That is a good question. I would want to say, and my apologies for not having that on the plans, I would want to say it's around 15 feet. But I apologize for not having that information.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff or the applicant? Thank you very much. This is a public hearing. I have, again, no speaker slips. Anyone wishing to address the commission on the cell tower? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and open it up to commissioner discussion. Don, did you have another question or?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
But to staff, not to the applicant. If the tower was 500 feet or greater from a residential zone, would a special use permit be required?
No, it would not.
Okay.
Actually, and if it was beyond 500 feet, we would approve it at the zoning administrator level.
Okay. From what I understand, all these towers are regulated by the federal government. And whether or not it complies to the city ordinance really doesn't matter. So really our review is basically just a formality. Because I've sat in some of these other meetings before in the Rancho Santa Fe area where cell towers were presented, and it came up there at a couple of these meetings where it's just a formality that really they can put them where they want. So I know this is going down maybe a little rabbit trail, but it's just the idea that are we making good use of the Planning Commission's time, or is it just to show face?
So you may be referencing when they are co-locating at an existing facility, so not when it's a new or substantially changed facility. So when it's a new or substantially changed facility, it's regulated under Chapter 18.92 of our development code, and there is discretion there to regulate based on aesthetics and, have a permitting process assigned per location. So it's not as perfunctory as I think you're describing, whereas the co-locations or replacement or new structures on existing facilities that are not substantially changed, our discretion is extremely limited in those cases. But that's under a different chapter of the development code.
Right. And I can understand the aesthetics, but okay, thank you.
All right, anyone else? Are we ready for a motion? Commissioner Savage.
Yeah, I'd like to move as per, to adopt the resolution.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, Commissioner Looney seconds. Please cast your vote. And lock it in. And that motion passes unanimously also of the commissioners present. So thank you very much. That concludes our public hearings tonight. Are there any reports or comments from the commission members? Commissioner Grimm?
Yeah, just a couple things. One, I kind of wanted to thank Kellison for having the building open at 5:30 tonight. That's great. I really appreciate it because I usually get here early and hanging around outside. Second thing is, I'm not sure in Vista, and it's probably a question for Patsy, if we have Planning Commission resolutions that are, can be used for, like, what I'm thinking about is having something for Gary, who's no longer here, and for John for his time. So I'd like to see if we could do a resolution thanking him from the Planning Commission for both of them.
I'm looking at Amanda, but we can certainly explore that and look into that. I'll just have to get back to you on that.
Yeah, I don't know what Vista's policy is, but I have a couple from where I worked. I'm sitting home at my wall.
Yeah.
Nobody looks at them, but.
Me too. All right. Commissioner Looney.
Thank you. Vista Del Mar. There's been more activity taking place there on Mar Vista in 78. And I remember there was an item regarding street parking. And there are cars not from Vista Del Mar that there's room to park on the shoulder. And I'm not sure if there were any items that were addressed as with signage that says, that's going to be placed that says no parking, because there is room for probably 6 or 7 cars on the shoulder of Mar Vista. And I know that was one of the conditions of our approval, that no street parking was allowed. So it's just, I'm not asking for an answer, it's just, I see that being a potential issue later on when they do open.
We'll look into that. Thank you for letting me know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyone else? The next item that I'd like to talk about is upcoming meetings. I think you all know that I'm going to be gone for the next 2, and I believe Lisa's going to be gone for next time. Anybody else going to be gone? No, okay. My concern is a lack of a quorum, and so you four guys have got to be here. and
That's, I just want to confirm, that's not May 23rd, correct?
It'd be May 16th.
Okay, great.
Okay, all right, very good. And then since I am going to be gone, I wanted to make comments about Peter and Kasani. You guys are going to graduate before I get back, so I think I believe your term of service will be up before I get back, and I just wanted to comment that you two have been two of the better commissioners, student commissioners that we've had in my 10 years on the commission, and I just want to thank you. I want to wish you the best of luck in your college career. And when you graduate, come back and you can run the city and we'll all work for you guys, So anyway, congratulations. And then if you'll come up. So you know I'm a woodworker. And so this is thank you for your service on the commission. You're welcome. It's June, so I turn pins for graduates. So anyway, so Ms. Chow, our next meeting is the 16th.
Yes, and I like to echo on that for Kasani and Peter. Thanks for being here and always here attending and consistently making comments. So we really appreciate as staff, on behalf of the staff. So thank you very much. And good luck with everything you do in life. I'm sure you will have much success ahead of you. And so keep in touch with us. Don't be strangers when you come back into town. Thank you. Chairman Rossler, so just to echo on the meeting, June 6th, I believe also that you will be absent at that meeting. So Commissioner Graham and Vice Chair Graham will be taking the chair seat in that case. The one thing is we will have meetings on May 16th, then on June 6th and June 20th. So we'll have back-to-back meetings, I'm sorry. But there's items coming up, and so we're pretty busy and consistently keeping busy. June 20th, we're actually planning to bring the general plan update, discussion on that. We did have a good conversation with City Council on April 25th, just to kind of bring everybody up to speed where we've been with the Series 1 workshops. And we do have Series 2 workshops that are coming up towards the end of summer, August, with the community within the council districts. And Mr. Ressler is the project lead on the general plan update. He'll be making a presentation on June 20th before you and updating where we're at on that. And I think we just want to say we're continue to be busy. Several projects coming down the pipe, so it's continuously the case. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments tonight? If not, the commission stands adjourned till May 16th, and that'll be our meeting. Thank you.